literally just get on stage and you exude, there's a chicken. Hello, lunch.
You are going to clash with someone on something.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Where do you find the balance then between saying I am worth an amount versus what I offer is worth that same amount to my client? You're listening to the Baascast. Yeah, it is better than it sounds.
Welcome back to the Baascast. I'm Baas de Beer, and as per usual, I've got a fantastic guest for you. And you will notice if you're watching the YouTube version or the video version of this that I've got a microphone that is not attached to a wooden spoon in this one. And it is because I'm upgrading in life, I think.
Nice, dude. That's very exciting. Well done.
So, remember, every single Monday, brand new episode of the Baascast on Spotify, and the same one goes up on YouTube on a Wednesday. And who knows, there might be something extra going up on YouTube this week, because the guy that I've got with me here, Steve, insert pronunciation here, I'm going to figure that out.
You got it.
Steve Umculo.
Yeah.
We there's a reason why I cocked it up, because we are literally going to start by saying, Steve, you and your personality are amazing, but please introduce yourself because I cannot pronounce you.
You got it the second time there, bro.
Ah.
Yeah, clear. So, Steve Umculo, Umculo, the C in Zulu and Xhosa is a sound. Yeah, so you got to get your those things down, yeah.
We are going to kick it off.
Okay.
Introductory vocab lesson. Teach me how to say Steve
You got it? Yeah, you hated this.
Is it in front or in the back?
So as if you're like calling a horse, it's like that thing. Yeah. So tongue on the teeth, the back of the teeth. Umculo.
Eve. Eve Umculo.
Yeah. That's exactly. You nailed it. Well done. Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I keep doing the thing
yeah,
in the back?
it's like it's hard for a Western tongue. Well, I mean, like, is Afrikaans is a Germanic language. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right? And so is English is a Latin language.
English is a mess.
English is a mess. It
Yes.
is a flippin'
Yeah, but African languages do things with tongues
that the Western mind is just not.
And that is why one of my friends only date black guys.
There we go.
Hot take there. I said that a bit tongue in cheek.
That dumb shit.
But okay, Steve.
Yeah.
What? I keep going
So
back.
yeah.
Umculo. When I just say it, I can say okay.
Yeah, just go straight through.
Steve Umculo.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
So yeah, yeah. So it's more forward than it is back.
But okay, Steve Umculo. What's your real name? I mean,
My
real name.
My real last name. Yeah, because we got each other on Facebook. Hayden. Hayden is I know it's so lame. Hayden.
No.
Stephen Hayden.
Can you please explain to those that don't know, why did you go from Stephen Hayden to Steve Umculo?
So Umculo in itself is a representation of what this project is about. It's essentially to say we can do better to understand each other. That's kind of like, that's the idea. So it's an integration of both Western and African at a superficial level in my music.
Okay.
Then on a deeper philosophical level is to say, let's do better to break ice, communicate, and understand. That's
so
the idea.
Umculo, the word specifically means be better, or is it just a concept? Or is it just a concept?
Don't be an arsehole. Yeah, Umculo means music.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
you should have led with that.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I don't know. It's I like to give philosophy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Concept first.
Concept first.
Fact second.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I like that.
Yeah.
What I do enjoy is to introduce you on stage, because as you might have figured out, it's still a struggle to introduce to just pronounce your name.
Yeah.
And I think that must be the peacocking bit that makes you stand out as well, because you can imagine if someone has never seen you perform, right?
Yeah.
And they see Steve Umculo on a stage.
No.
On a poster.
No, I confuse a lot of people. Yeah.
They're like, sorry, are you his manager?
Yeah. Well, no, there's been a lot of circumstances that have raised a lot of eyebrows. The idea behind it is to break ice. Like that's generally and
conversation starter basically.
Have a conversation about it, and also because I mean, like I come under fire quite frequently about a lot of stuff being a white male in this world and using the word Umculo in the name and whatever the case is, there's conversations to be had there, and a lot of conversations around
cultural appropriation.
Exactly. And I am of the opinion that those conversations need to be had. Those are the kind of conversations that we should be engaging in and we should understand. And like people can take me to task on it. I'm happy to have a conversation about it, and we must just chat. Let's as opposed to like go behind each other's backs and like be on keyboards about it and be flipping. Be nasty to each other.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, that whole thing. And just be nasty to each other. Let's rather have a conversation, open it up. And then further to that, the best icebreaker that has ever happened with this name is I used to live in Spain. That's when I came up with this name. And the word culo in Spanish means asshole.
You really have to wait with that punchline vibes until I'm done swallowing.
I'm going to specifically wait, bro, until you have liquid in your mouth.
I've got like a level 2 flood happening in my nasal cavity.
Oh,
now
is it?
with
Lekker, mate. We'll
caffeine.
wait for it to drip out your nose. Yeah, it's very exciting.
It's going back.
Oh,
So
Christ.
anyway, Spain, asshole.
Asshole. Yeah.
It fits the bill.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. No. So umculo. If you say umculo straight through in Spanish, it sounds like you're saying one asshole. And that was so when I came up with the because un is one or like
and culo being
arsehole. So or an arsehole. So that it was Steve an arsehole. Was kind of the
You know that everyone that watches this or listens to this podcast will now stop trying to pronounce umculo
and just go
and they just film culo.
Yeah, straight through. But
Making them an umculo.
there we go.
So if you
heard
pronounce
it
Steve's
first here.
name umculo, then you are an umculo.
Done and dusted. Yeah, but I mean, like the conversation is there to be had. Like I never try and shy away. If someone wants to like take me to task on it, or whatever the case is, or chat to me about the name, where it comes from, and why I've chosen to do it. It's clear as day, mate. It's to say everybody love everybody. Let's integrate more. That's plain and simple.
Well, I mean, you can't say it on a podcast that is all, because that is literally what we're going to be talking about for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. But we're done. Podcast over. Thanks for having me, boss. It's been fun.
But let me just quickly cover the ground for those that don't know. Give me a brief summary. You're a musician, but you are extraordinary in the sense that you rock up with a full band's kit and then it's just you.
Yeah. So further icebreaker. There's a bit of history here. I mean, like, I don't know. I'll try and give you the super sport highlight package. So when I first got into the music industry in 2014, I studied at Rhodes, doing my BMAs, and then I went and worked on cruise ships after that, right?
Like the cruise ship entertainer singing in the lounge.
No, actually playing drums. So
Okay.
that's why Rhodes was important there, is because I academically trained to like specifically be a session muso for a long time. Not to say that you have to academically train to be a session muso. Like
That is one way to climb the mountain.
that's one way to climb the mountain. So I got to that part of the mountain, and that wasn't even the peak yet. So being on the ships, that was the flipping peak, because then you had, like, it's high stress environment. It's like flipping, let's do the thing. And once that stress kind of wore off, and I got very used to the gig, and I got used to doing the like dance sets. You play like a waltz for these fuddy duddies doing like little like dance lessons.
I enjoy
whatever the case is.
waltzing.
Yeah, you do?
No, not really, but I think it's the only one I can remember that my mom taught me. Okay.
A waltz? That's
Yeah,
very
I was
cute.
tiny and she made me waltz in the kitchen. Anyway, tell me stories about your boat cruises.
Very sweet. Yeah, I mean, like it was good fun. It was very eye-opening, traveling the world, getting paid to do it, and whatever the case is, to play music. And
Is that how you ended up in Spain, though? Just as a
no.
side
That's
quest?
this is kind of going there.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, super short. But like, yeah, it's a part of it. Anyway, so once the novelty wore off and I got used to the gig, I felt quite stagnant. And it was a bit stale. And so what I started doing was I went down to the crew bar and I would play like pub covers, like the normal sort of pub cover stuff. That sort of gig. In the crew bar, and they paid me in beer. And like those nights became like regular staple things. I did it once, and everyone was like, "Oh, dude, let's do it." Because like the crew, it's a similar thing. They get very used to like every week they have the same events in the bar and whatever the case is. So I just added a little bit of sort of variety to their onboard life,
Nice.
and then I enjoyed it so much that I was like, I would like to do this more. At the same time, I'd actually applied to do my master's in Spain, because I decided that the cruise ship wasn't going to be forever. So I'd like to take a bit of a different tact. Applied for my master's in Spain, and I got in. And at this point in time, I'd now decided that I wanted. So I got in playing the drums. But at this point in time, I decided I wanted to go do singing and songwriting more. That was kind of the idea. However, they didn't appreciate that, because I got there under the pretense that I was going to be playing drums, and then I was like, I want to be an artist, and then they were just like, no, you're a drummer.
Side note, did you just say that drummers are not artists?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, to everyone listening out there, disclaimer, no, I'm not saying that. Drums are my first love, and I wholeheartedly believe that my artistry is rooted in rhythm. First and foremost, groove is everything to me, right?
Watching the show, you can definitely see that.
Right.
But
yes, thank you very much. So, no boss. Drummers are artists. But to me, the drums wasn't the only expression. You know, like that wasn't the only way for me to get there. What I wanted to do was combine a bunch of elements. Groove being the first one that I based everything off of. So then I got to Spain. I got to my master's program, and I just started, like, I was listening to a lot of folk at that time. Coming off the cruise ships, I was listening to a lot of Lumineers. I was listening to a lot of Mumford & Sons and stuff like that.
Nice.
In conjunction with, like, quite a bit of jazz, quite a lot of funk. I was deeply rooted into my funk, coming out of Rhodes and then into the cruise ships. So then there was a lot of influence there. But then when I moved to Europe, I'm sure a lot of people can identify listening to this that, like, Africa resonates on a different kind of frequency, and as soon as you step foot off that place, that frequency catches up to you, and, like, you start to miss home almost immediately. So then I started listening to a lot of artists like Vusi Mahlasela, a lot of sort of Isitratamia, a lot of Maskandi, just because, like, I missed home, and music to me is it's the greatest connection we have, you know. So that started to influence my songwriting, and yeah, that's how I started creating this music. Was the blend of Afro groove is where I started, and then chucking sort of folk stuff on top of that I was previously influenced by. You know?
That is fantastic. And I mean, listening to you speak about the different influences as I'm running through the shows that I've seen that you perform, you can literally feel that element coming to be in your live stage performance.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you're a Maskandi artist, for instance, but
yeah.
it's the groove that you get
that
in
talented.
there. You are, dude. Some of those guys.
No, it's mental.
To an uneducated ear, you know, a lot of
yeah.
Maskandi kind of, it just sounds the same.
Yeah.
But to pull off those rhythmic balances it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just want to ask you one thing pertinently based on your journey now. As a professionally qualified musician, right? You did finish the degree part?
I did.
The
I finished I finished the masters. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll get to that. But as a professionally qualified, technically, what's the word? Capable, proficient. That's the word. A musician, essentially transitioning from what some would consider to be a more clean way. You know, I am a session musician performing as a session musician, and then finding yourself covering Wonderwall.
Oh, gross.
Walk me through that transition in your mind, and do you agree, or what's your opinion on a lot of the musicians? I'm specifically talking to the guys that, you know, studied at Tux or whatever, or the Rhodes, that will look down on pub singers.
Okay.
And so
Yeah. Hear ye. I have never once been asked in my performance career for my masters in music. No one has ever asked me to produce my certificate for them. No one has ever asked me if I'm academically trained. Can you or can you not do the job? That is the end of it. Like there's no need, in my opinion. Like having been through the process, and yes, I too, like at early stage in my career was just like, you know, like I've got the academic training, you know, where is my gig? That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works.
Can you imagine it worked like that? It's like, oh, you know what? If you finished your degree in like basic music, you know, you studied music at, I don't know, Trinity College or something, then you qualify for tier 2 musicianship.
No,
if you finished your degree at like a jazz college, it's up. And if you finish your masters, then, you know, then you start charging 25K per set. That's not how it works.
You work. We work in a creative industry, like and a practical industry. We don't work in an academic industry, like, well, at least one that's based off academic prowess. Like, I can understand for lawyers, for accountants, for X, Y, and Z, you have certain stipulations and requirements that you must fulfill. Beyond that, you get placed in a position based on your knowledge base. Our knowledge base is not equivalent to our ability to do our jobs. What we are, I mean, it helps having a base of knowledge for sure. But like what is important is like every single aspect of your personality, of your ability, of your things like stage presence, things like your creativity. Is your song good? Are you able to entertain? Do you have enough business drive in order to make this career work? There's so much that goes into it. No qualification is going to give you all of that. Especially they can give you the knowledge on how to run a business. They can give you the knowledge on how to write a song. They can give you the knowledge on chord structures, whatever. But no qualification is going to give you the ability to make it in the music industry. It's
like no qualification can teach you how to entertain,
no,
or how to engage with the crowd, or how to I mean, they can give you tips, tricks, and pointers.
100%.
But then you take a look at some of the musicians that Dave Grohl.
Yeah, 100%. Perfect
Still
example.
claims to not be able to read music.
Ed Sheeran, he dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
Like there's countless circumstances of people. Not to say you should drop out of high school. Don't do that.
Drop out of high school, kids. Stephen Umculo told you so.
The Baascast. Yeah.
Hot take.
Endorsed. No one should have the idea that like they're gonna drop out of high school and make it. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that in order to make it in the music industry, like genuinely, no matter what position you have in the music industry, I'll go on a limb and say, like, even the music business guys. It helps having a knowledge base, but a qualification is not as important as how keen on the industry you are and how invested you are.
I would legit put a qualification way below performance and even below your networking skills.
100%. That's also
below
the other
your
thing.
marketing skills.
Are you a good hang? First and foremost, I'm as like in a position in my career now where I'm hiring people to do certain things for me, like sound engineers or mainly tech crew kind of jobs at this point. Again, I don't need you to produce a diploma or a degree or a certificate.
Can you do the job?
Can you do the job? And are you a good hang? If we're going to be spending 6 hours in a car together, are you lekker? You know what I mean? Like are you not going to be, I don't know, a leech? Are you not going to are you not going to talk my ear off about are we comfortable in silence? Things like that, like little things,
If you can't gel with your coworker, essentially, and that's what it is. If you tour together,
exactly
you are not yes, you might be the employer if you want to structure it in a normal corporate sense.
Yeah.
You are the employer, or the manager. You are literally the site manager, and they are your co-workers.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you are the guy on stage does not necessarily mean that the sound guy is below you in the structure at
100%.
all.
100%.
Because if the sound guy cocks up,
No,
guess what?
No, who looks like a tit, So like at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is do you have the ability? First and foremost, how much do you care about this industry? Is your heart in it? Because like you're definitely not getting into this industry to be rich. Like that is
not in South Africa.
No, absolutely not. And granted, like people do all the time, but that is a very small percentage of the population that is making very big money off of it. You most likely will be going through day-to-day sort of watching your bank account, making sure you got X, Y, and Z covered for the month. Is your rent, are your monthly expenses, are they covered? And like that's going to be your life. So are you passionate enough about this industry to have to deal with that reality on a day-to-day basis? And then secondly, can you do the job? Are you able?
When I speak to artists quite often, especially with the open mics that I host, is a lot of them go through this journey and this, and it's necessary, what I'm about to say, oh, I'm no longer a free performer or a 500 Rand guy. I'm actually worthy of being put on a poster or to perform, but how much do I charge? What's the business side of things? And in the end, I have to tell the guys, look, I'm very proud of you for putting in the work for the 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 2 months, as the one girl claimed. She paid her dues. She's playing.
2 months.
Yeah, she's been in this industry now going on almost 3 months. She's played 2 open mics.
Oh my goodness.
And now they wanted to start charging 5K, 10K because no, artists must get paid. But in the end, I mean, we're sitting here at Whisk. I should have mentioned that. We're sitting at Whisk Wine Bar recording this podcast, and
delicious coffee.
I've helped them book shows here, and then you get artists that want to come and charge essentially a restaurant 15K to come and perform. And I'm like, bro, you do not pull enough people to cover a bill of 5.
Yeah.
Where do you find the balance then between saying I am worth an amount versus what I offer is worth that same amount to my client?
So at this point in time, I have my rate card. One that I've this project is now 7 years old. It's been going since 2016, and I've only really defined proper rates. But I think I've sent to you.
I like your papers.
Thank you. But I just like to have my infrastructure in place. And that infrastructure has taken 6 years to develop properly and to understand my value in an industry. I do think in South Africa we have a little bit of a problem with undervaluing ourselves. I do get that argument, especially because we don't have creative unions.
Yes.
Like this is a big thing that we don't have a set structure. I'm also a voiceover artist is my other income stream. And
even me.
Hey, there we go. And so like the PMA, they put out what recommended rates for voiceover artists. Whereas in the music industry, we don't have that. You can ask around.
You can try unionize.
You
can
try.
That.
Yeah. No, it is a whole thing that, I mean, like, there's plenty of people that have a lot of opinions about this, but that's a conversation for another day.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's taken me 6 years to get to the point where I've gone, okay, like this is the kind of bracket that I fall in. This is what I can offer. And I most likely will get that. So how I've structured it, as you know, I've put acoustic performances and then full one-man band setup, which is actually your original question, which I completely forgot.
Hey, it's a big circle.
Yeah, we'll come back.
If you stuck around this long in the podcast, it means that you're invested enough to want to know that answer. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe.
Yes. Don't forget. So yeah, as I say, so there's 2 options. Just because I found those are the most frequently asked for things that I do personally. So I can offer. I know that I can offer your typical corporate background acoustic music, which I mean will be essentially a lot of what the guys that are coming out of the open mic scene, what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're coming into the open mic scene. They're getting up there. They're playing their covers of. Flipping, who knows? Like a wide variety of things, but you've got.
Hey, that's the latest Wonderwall. Is hey.
Oh, I mean that's.
Well, not the latest, but it's one of them.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah, a flipping Riptides. You got your, like your typical ones, Free Fall, whatever. Like, and those, and nothing against those songs, and nothing against that career either. I still to this day, even though I've got like a lot of these festival gigs and all that coming up. I still do that. Those remain the most popular at these acoustic corporate background music, and like I'm gonna pay. I mean, I'm gonna pay. Hopefully, I do get paid.
Yes. Look, that's passion if you pay to play.
Yeah.
Or
Finally,
stupidity,
I've made it.
one of the two.
Oh yeah. No, that also is a completely different conversation for another time. But to this day, like for corporate clients, even like last week, I at a corporate gig, played those songs because like it's a good way to keep a client happy, So going back to the 2 options. So acoustic background music will be a lot cheaper than my one-man band performance that I do.
But you get less of a performance and it's less effort for you to set up.
100%. I can go, yeah, exactly. And so that's how I've figured out my value, because I've gone like I can do this thing which takes me an hour to set up, and I'll I'll do 2 sets, set up my sound equipment, whatever the case is. I'll do a lot of my original. So like in that I'll do 50-50 originals and covers, and then charge a much cheaper fee than if I was to do the one-man band setup, because as you say, that's a lot more effort. I need to bring in a sound guy. I need to bring in crew, whatever the case is. So it's taken me 6 years to define those parameters and to understand exactly where I fit in the industry and how much I can be charging, and to make that worth my time.
Absolutely, because I do believe that you do determine your value. And as a businessman, you need to say, listen, here, I'm not willing to sell my product or my service for less than a certain amount. But let me put it to you this way. A couple of years ago, I had the same conversation with someone. And you know when people give you an answer that sounds exceptionally wisdomous?
Yes.
But when you think about it twice, then you realize it didn't help at all.
It's in the tone of their voice. And then you
So,
go, yes.
And I mean, I quoted this until I questioned it, because the answer as to how much are you worth as a musician was given, how much are people willing to pay?
Yep.
So that sounds on the nose, on the nose, that's right. It sounds on the of it. It sounds right, because, how much are you worth? Well, how much are people willing to pay for you? It's a good answer, is it? Until you start thinking, how the fuck do you get there? How do you know?
We're allowed to swear
how
on this
charge?
podcast. Fucking fantastic.
As long as it's after that first 5-minute clip a bit for YouTube, because they almost don't want you to swear in the first bit of a YouTube video. After that, you can say fuck a couple of times and it's fine. Because now you're starting out as a musician. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, starting with the Umculo project. I remember
it's becoming so natural for you.
I remember meeting you actually at an open mic at Capital Craft Centurion.
Yeah.
And you rocked up as one of 26 musos, I think, that wanted to come and play to be considered for Park Acoustics.
I remember that, yeah.
And you were so sad when I told you that, look, we cannot physically put up your entire rig. And you're like, but that's my entire thing. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But starting from there to suddenly now I have to go and put a price tag on what you do. If you had to give one bit of advice to an upcoming muso that is now Steve from 6-7 years ago, and first paying gig, would you rather tell them overcharge, like ask your rate, or would you say, listen here, give me what you can? Make me an offer.
You guys are gonna hate me for this. Make me an offer. That's the way to go in. Especially with the music industry professionals. Because a lot of the time, sometimes they are, but a lot of the time we all understand that like we're on the back foot. In the music industry, it's a tough industry for everyone, including the booking agents, the festival directors.
Sometimes especially.
Exactly. And a lot of the time I've played plenty of festivals now, having spoken to many of the directors, they're not walking away with a cent. So work with the people, not against them. Like and as I say, this isn't a hard and fast rule. There's a little bit of a gray area here. It's not black and white. But if we're talking to Henk, if we're talking to you, if we're talking to people in this industry that really, really give a shit about their industry, they're going to offer you what they can. They're not going to try and fuck you over. Like that's like that is at least been my experience. Then once you are in that circle, you can start to understand your value versus other people's value versus what is actually genuinely trying to happen. First and foremost, we are trying to build something together. Do not work against the industry professionals. Work with them, please.
And I actually want to add on to that, because you raised a valuable point about, do not work against this industry, work with it. And keep in mind that you are but one cog in the entire freaking wheel of engines that run this thing. Yeah. I'm consulting on music festivals now. We'll stand still on one coming up in a bit. But Hartswerkfeest, shout out. I feel sometimes musicians treat themselves as soul survivors on an island of solitude, where I would like to think that if you come up in a scene, if you are growing in an industry, let's use the Pretoria scene as an example, you are coming up as a Kiash Arjun playing with a couple of other guys, you can, because Kiash is part of a certain crowd of guys playing, and the Martin Gill. There's
a lot of musicians' names in there. I understand.
That crowd, you know what? I believe you should talk to one another and say, listen, what are you charging now for
100%.
a gig? Are you getting it?
Be open about it.
What's the type of venue that you play, and what's the type of pay that you get? Because to me, you're devaluing an industry. I heard recently of a musician that I've got such tremendous love and respect for as a human being, as a performer, but I want to kick his business ass, because he's devaluing an industry because he's literally charging less than half of what he should and could be charging. And now he's getting booked at venues that now don't want to pay other musicians in his similar group
well,
what
the
they are
thing.
worth.
So yeah, have those conversations. Be willing and open to chat to each other, and say, okay, well, you know, what have you been doing recently? What have you been playing? What are they paying you? Blah blah blah. This is what I've been getting. I do have those conversations with musicians backstage all the time. Plus, also bear in mind, guys, like I mean, I'm assuming this portion of the podcast is specifically for those up and comers.
I don't know who's listening.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, like, that's what we kind of have been talking about for.
Yeah.
But I'll try and keep this brief. Like there are a few things to cover here. The first and foremost, like, have you put on a show? How many people are you able to bring to a show? Like, the events organizers want to know that kind of information. They need to know that kind of information. Otherwise, like, why would they book you for a show if you haven't been trying to punch your own brand? Just because you've made art, I'm sorry, I love all you musicians. Just because you made art doesn't mean you deserve to be paid. You need.
Sorry, I just want to stand and applaud that because, oh God, thank you for a musician saying it.
No. But it's straight up the truth. Like people in this world. I'm sorry, mate. Like you're not God's gift to this earth just because you've made music. Yes, I'm sure it is fantastic. It's beautiful. We've all made like something that we're deeply, deeply proud of. But you are the person that's proud of it. You need to prove that other people are proud of it as well, and they are willing to buy tickets to your show. You need to be able to prove that. Like that is just like it's basic. Like just because you've made something doesn't mean someone has to book you for their festival and pay you 20,000 rand in order to play it there. Like it's like,
this isn't Field of Dreams. If you build it, they'll come.
Yeah, if we book it, they will come.
I mean, it's like a restaurant saying, "Listen, here, I've just installed a new pizza oven. Hey guys, congratulations, we are rich now. We are the best pizza sellers." But before they sold the pizza,
no, totally, yeah. So that's number one. Is like, you know, there needs to be something beyond the music. There needs to be involvement in the industry to understand your value. There needs to be drive. There needs to be initiative in this industry in order to prove to everyone else that you really do give a shit. Again, it comes down to, do you care, and are you willing to work? Like you need to be able to willing to work. Like that is that's the end of it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
People go into this music scene for the rock star status sometimes,
No,
and
really.
they think that once I sing a nice song, people are going to call me and book
Give
me,
me
and
all
I'm
their
going to
money.
rock up and rock out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anyways, but that's basically for the up and comers. Like, just work, man, and start hanging out. Have a beer with Baas. He's a lacquer guy.
And I like beer.
Yeah, he loves beer and a good pizza from Whisk. I learned this
shout
in the
out
early
Whisk.
days. Yeah. I learned this in the early days. Baas and I, he booked me for a little gig here, and we had a beer and a pizza.
Yes,
and
that was a good night.
That was a good time, man. Yeah.
I love doing gigs with you, just by the way.
Yeah, bro. Likewise. Yeah. And speaking of which, good segue. We are doing a couple coming up. There
Thanks
we
for
go.
pointing out the segue. So, I mean, we can talk music industry. I definitely
for
want to
sure.
say on this point, I certainly want to talk to you more about it
Cool,
again
cool,
and
cool,
again.
cool.
And if
Yeah,
you've got any questions on the music industry side of a person that is freshly, I want to say, started to make it, because you know what, you're good, you're cool and all, but I do think given your talents and what you can achieve, you've still got so much more to go.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And,
But one of the places you are going is
Hartswerkfeest. Boom, boom, boom.
Hartswerkfeest
1st of
happening
September.
at Hartswerkfeest 1st to 3rd of September, happening Naboomspruit at Die Boer en die Belg. It's a
That's the one.
freakishly, amazingly beautiful game farm.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally going to be playing to people in kudus,
It's
the rooibokkies and stuff.
Do you think the Kudus will bring their camp chairs?
I don't know. I think they're pretty comfy in the bush as it is.
Fair enough.
But you're an avid runner, aren't you?
I do like to run. Yes.
Do you know that you are going to be doing a 5K fun run?
That's very exciting. We're on the Saturday morning.
On the Saturday morning at the
Correct.
Hartswerkfeest, there's a 5K fun run through the bush. It's very, very cool.
I didn't know that was going to happen. That's
Oh,
very exciting.
Look
yeah.
at the marketing.
Amazing.
But yeah, seriously, get your tickets now. I am actually performing as well
Yes.
on the Sunday. They allow me to play on the Sunday, and the organizer asked, "So are you going to play a few church songs?" And I'm like,
Oh, really?
"No." I used to be a pastor. I'm no longer.
You used to be a pastor? Seriously? When was this?
Oh, back in my day. Studied the theology thing, but this is not my interview. This is you.
We'll talk about that after.
So, Hartswerkfeest, get your tickets. Steve's performing on the Saturday.
Friday evening, I think.
Friday, but there are artists like
Pedro.
Barbosa, Albert Frost, Andra, Bacchus
Swart.
Nel, Valiant Swart, and a couple of local guys from that side.
Yeah. I think on the Friday, I think it's Pedro.
Bad Peter's also playing.
Bad Peter's also on the Friday. Yeah. Okay.
I can't
Anyway,
remember who's on which day.
doesn't matter. Just go check it out.
It's going to be such a beautiful festival. Just saying, get your tickets now. Listen, I want to ask you
Yes.
the conversation that you say that we should be having, but I want to talk about conversations first.
Okay.
Just your feeling. I get the idea, to jump back to what you said earlier, you want to have people start a conversation with you about, let's say, cultural appropriation when it comes to your name. I get the impression that a lot of times, especially in a slightly more, I am trying to avoid the word woke in this sentence because that's not the targets that I want to highlight here, but there's a certain type of person, and unfortunately it's a loud type of person online, present, opinionated, probably too young to know they're still dumb. Some of them just too old to give a shit. But if they say we want to start a conversation, what they actually mean is, I want to have you echo my words to me, and otherwise I want to fight.
Yeah.
So if we say we want to start a conversation, to use your point of cultural appropriation, for instance, I might have an opinion that differs. You might have a different opinion, and obviously someone else has. How do you deal in those conversations if people do seem to actually only want to enforce their opinion instead of communicating?
I mean, if that is the case, then we have nothing to talk about. The conversation needs to revolve around something that we're both very passionate about, and if we both have very different opinions on a matter, that's fine. It doesn't like people don't seem to understand that in the world you are going to clash with someone on something.
Yes.
And that's okay. We can exist in a world that where we have differing opinions, where it doesn't have to be divisive. We don't have to agree on everything in order to coexist, right? So if someone does come to me with the proposition of talking to me about cultural appropriation, talking to me about I don't know, like I've come under hard fire recently on the internet over some videos that I've posted, which we can chat about. But if they do want to come to you with a particular topic that doesn't quite align with your view of this world, it becomes pretty obvious if they are happy just to talk about it and agree to disagree, or if they just want to outright fight. If they want to outright fight and just be the loudest person in the room, I'm sorry, we do I'm not here to be shouted at. I'm here to have a conversation. Then we have nothing to talk about.
And we can still disagree and be mates.
Exactly. 100%.
I think it is. Who was it that said it's the mark of a fool to not be able to entertain a thought without accepting it?
Yes, that. Yeah, actually, I can't remember.
I'm just going to say it was Mark Twain.
I was literally thinking Mark Twain
because every unreferenceable quote was either said by Mark Twain
or Confucius,
or Yoda if you say it the wrong way around. But so having the conversation is important, and standing your ground and being open to being wrong.
Yes, which I mean, goes both ways. And if you come to me with some like factual evidence that I'm being a bigot and I'm being an idiot, I'll entertain that. Of course, I'll entertain that. I'm a liberal person. I believe that in this world, everyone is completely entitled to their opinion so long as they're not hurting anybody else. This is what we forget sometimes in the new age, is that you don't have to agree with everything in order to be liberal.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with every notion that's put up on the internet that's viewed as sort of like right or like appropriate. In order to be a liberal, we can disagree on stuff and still be liberal.
We have to mention then, I believe, that there's a massive difference between being liberally minded and being politically liberal. There's associations that we hear nowadays on media. If you hear I'm liberal, they mean, I must run around giving coat hanger abortions to everyone.
Exactly.
Because it's the political alignment of the United States.
100%.
Says liberal is that.
Well, I think what the trouble has come in is that we've associated left-wing politics with liberalism.
Yes.
And that in my opinion, I mean, I am more left-wing than I am right-wing for sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that makes me a liberal.
No, exactly. I mean, politically speaking, we can go on for ages, but I think when it comes to the mindset of conversation, I firmly believe that I am 100% correct in everything that I believe until I'm proven wrong. And my mindset is that that's the only way that you can grow and flourish at the same time with confidence.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Sure. And again, that comes down to like, just to bring it back to the beginning, is to say, let's have a conversation. I'm also the same. Is like I have my views of this world. I've grown up in a particular manner that has formed my opinions and views and philosophies. That's what I know to be true in me, but that's not to say that's your reality, and that's fine. Let's have a conversation about it. And if during that conversation you happen to change my opinion, that's cool too. Like it's not set in stone.
I like it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: we should be having those conversations that are uncomfortable to
Exactly.
our own setup as a human being, because that's the only way, again, how we can grow.
Yeah.
If we continue to believe the same way about everything that we did when we were 16 years old, or 18 years old, 18 years old, 20 years old, whatever, and now, I mean, I'm turning 42 in like 2-3 months' time. Can you imagine? I walked about on this planet with the same mindset that I had when I was 19.
No, I was guys.
Oh Lord!
I was the worst when I was a teenager. I was a punk, and I believed in anarchy. Like anarchy, in my opinion, now, like that was all good and well for that time. But I had no idea of how the world actually operated. You know what I mean?
I'm going to do something I haven't done in any podcast before. Right?
Go for it.
I'm going to put a invite with a clause to
Cool.
you.
Yeah.
If we get literally, I just want 10 people to tell me in somewhere other comments, be it YouTube, Facebook, Twittergram, call us, whatever. I wish to be having those conversations with you. Maybe invite 1 or 2 other people, specifically on the topics of cultural appropriation and such. I've got a future guest that's coming up, my friend Ngoba, the comedian.
Yes,
also
yes,
a difficult
of
name
course,
to pronounce. And I've got some very interesting cultural things that I'm going to be talking to him about.
Yes.
And I
Important.
would probably love to have you, him, and maybe one other person in a more panel discussion than a podcast.
Let's
vibe.
go, man.
And if we get 10 people saying we should do that, I want to be having the
100%.
conversation that we should have.
Another artist with very, very interesting views on South Africa, who I mentioned to you earlier, is Freddie L, who I just did this
I'll go check
festival.
him out.
You must. He's like, he's got like him and I have had very in-depth conversations about politics and philosophy, revolving around specific, like in a South African context, where it's exactly this. We don't agree on everything. That's fine.
Now, listen, we are unfortunately running out of time. I could be talking to you for another 4 hours because you are such an insightful human being, especially given the fact that you are really young for your age.
Thanks, bro.
If that makes sense.
I'm 86, guys.
But he performs like a 68-year-old. Don't worry. Now, I like to end this thing off with a little bit, something a little bit lighthearted.
Yeah, sure.
But seeing as I didn't get to a very good point that I wanted to raise with you, I'm going to try and incorporate both of those things at the same time.
Cool.
Right. Positivity seems to be your brand identity.
Yes, sir.
You get on stage, you do not have a single moment of, oh, you know, guys, you gaan het arm, but I'm making it. But you know what? Sometimes we are sad. Let's sing. You literally just get on stage and you exude. There's a chicken. Hello, lunch.
Yes.
You exude happiness.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you 5 questions in quick succession
Cool.
about joy, happiness, and all that.
Sweet.
And you just shoot to the first thing that you can say.
Okay.
All right. This is Getting to Know Steve, the quick fire. Wait. Let's say. This is Getting to Know Steve Umculo's happiness vibe, motivation management system in 5 seconds or less.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. That's fine. We got it.
Are you always happy?
No.
How do you make yourself happy?
Create. Genuinely.
Do you prefer to create or to perform if you want to get that endorphin rush?
Perform.
The creation process, does that give you joy longer lasting, or does the stage performance give you a longer lasting sense of euphoria?
Creation. For sure.
The value that you add to people's lives, do you think that you will be more remembered for your music or for the feelings that you give?
Feelings, yeah.
What is your end goal with all of this?
It is to leave. It is to leave the world. This is going to sound so cheesy, but it is genuinely to leave the world better than I found it. To ensure that we are progressing in a manner that seems less divisive than where we currently stand.
You've heard it straight out of the mouth of Steve Umculo himself. Dude, thank you so very much.
Thank you, boss.
And not only thank you for coming to the podcast, thank you, honestly, for making the world a better place already.
Thanks, bro. I don't know. We persevere.
It is a thing. Go and check out the Steve shows. He is performing at a place wherever you book him. He's fairly fairly priced. I can guarantee you that. And hey, if you want to book him, call me.
yeah, it's cool, boss. Do that.
Oh, man. Listen, no jokes. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you.
You're legend.
And remember, guys, every Wednesday on YouTube, brand new version of the Baascast, the same one that goes up on Spotify every single Monday. Go check out Steve Socials. We didn't even get to the social media. Dude, I want to have a whole discussion about social media with you still.
Well, fine. For another day.
Listen, I'm going to be doing 100 of these podcasts before I reevaluate whether or not I should be doing it.
Cool.
I've got a calendar set out.
Yes, sir.
I guarantee you will be back before number 50.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Sounds good.
Right, ladies and gents, thanks so much for tuning into the Baascast. I love you more than your mom loves you. And she loves you a lot. That's the slogan for this episode now. I love you more than your mama does. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, and doing all the clicky things.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this Baascast, and thank you so much Audio Torch for sponsoring the camera gear.